Hey DCC, welcome to another edition of Morning Coffee. When I was in high school, I really had some great relationships with some of my football coaches. And two of my football coaches, while completely different in their approach and style, had a big impact on me. Coach Arns from Waverly Shell Rock and Coach Larry Holstead from Forest City. And both of those men were great coaches, and I want to kind of explain some of the reasons why. When you play football and you're striving to be one of the best football players that you can be, or a best athlete or something, um, one of the things you have to do is you have to know what you need to work on. And so as you start to go through practice, it's not just going through the motions of practice and running through the plays and understanding the playbook, but there are just some things that you need to understand. So if I was playing defensive end or outside linebacker, there were some things that I needed to do. One of the things that I needed to do a better job was recognizing the fact that while I was to get to the quarterback, I was supposed to contain the outside. In other words, not let anybody get outside of me, right? Because then they could just take off because we didn't have anybody there. And so as I go through practice, one of the things that helped me in practice for my coaches was this sense of assessing what I was doing right, but then also breaking down what I was doing wrong. And then sometimes, you had your coach sit there and say, okay, what you're doing is you need to get your arms extended and get out here and create separation between you and the blocker, and then be ready to, kind of hit him in the shoulder and swim over him and get there. And then you need to camp out and make sure containment is there. And so that's one of the beautiful things about um, being coached well. And I think sometimes, though, when we go through life, even at work, there could be a number of things that we're doing wrong, right? And sometimes it can seem daunting. Think about how many times you've gone on a diet or wanted to get in shape, right? And when you think of losing weight, you realize that it's about like 25 poor decisions, that you have to overcome, right? And so you're just like, man, so it's not just that I go to the gym, but it's that I need to do cardio. But it's not just, 5 minutes of cardio, but it needs to be, I need to break a sweat, I need to break a wind, I need to get the blood flowing, and I need to do it for a sustained period of time. But if I walk into the gym and I'm slurping, down, 52 ounces of Mountain Dew and eating a Snickers bar, then pretty much all the cardio that I'm going to do isn't going to help me at all, right? And so there's this idea of, man, I've got to change my diet, I've got to change my workout, I've got to change how I, approach things, and then, how I lift weights. It's not just about, maybe in high school it was about how much weight I lifted, and I'm in the, 400 club because I can bench press 400 pounds. Now it's, what do I need? What am I trying to build for? And so maybe I'm using lighter weight and lots of reps or something like that, right? But sometimes it's daunting, right? When your coach approaches you or you're looking at trying to change your life, it seems like the list is long of things that I could be doing that are going to help me. And so it can seem daunting. And so one of the things that happens in our Christian lives is that we look at the Bible and we go, good grief, how on the earth am I going to read all of that and know what to do? How am I going to know how to live my life? What do I do as a Christian? Like, I don't just want to show up to some small group and read a couple books, or chapters by John Eldredge or somebody else, and then that's it. I want to know more, but I don't even know where to begin, and I don't know where to start. And if it's going to be 1,000 things on that list, I don't know that, I think I'm going to get discouraged. I don't know if I can do that. So one of the things that I try to encourage people to do is to go to Jesus' Sermon on the Mount. And he has these Beatitudes, right? And I love the Beatitudes because it's just a short list. And it's not easy. I don't want to fool you into thinking that it's easy, but it helps you because you can go through. And what I try to tell people is like, man, just take one and try to work on it, right? And then maybe take another one and kind of cruise through the list over the course of a year and just try to focus in on a few of these and see if you can find some way to, maybe you don't master them, but you get better at them, right? And So that kind of reduces this huge laundry list of 10,000 things or the entire Bible that I have to memorize or figure out into a short list of things that I can try to accomplish and do. So let's just read through a few of the Beatitudes, and then, let's discuss them. And then, let's just think about how simplistic of an approach that is to our lives. So when we look at, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall receive mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of God. Blessed are you when others revile you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Okay? So as we go through that list, maybe there's a few that stood out to you that you think, like, hey, I could work on that. I was just talking to a friend of mine not so long ago, and he said that God kind of gave him this word, peacemaker. And he was taking the idea, the concept of being a peacemaker, and seeing it as something that God really wanted him to bring into his life, and in a way that doesn't just have him, trying to control his mouth and not get into fights and arguments and be all about peace, but also that his presence in situations and in relationships brings a level of peace and unity to those relationships, instead of disunity or acidity or kind of a tearing apart of people because there's drama or there's anxiety or there's some type of attack going on there. And so he saw himself as being called by God into really, yes, being peaceful himself and being somebody who makes peace, but also that his presence would help influence and calm and bring unity to others. And so I think that's awesome. And I think, man, what a daily commitment to prayer, and when you keep that at the forefront of your mind, how awesome is that going to be, and how needed that is, right? Whether it's in the church, whether it's at work, whether it's with your family, there's a lot of need in our world for peace. There are people who will, good grief, they'll get in fights over Republican and Democrat, liberal and conservative, Obama versus George W. Bush, whatever. And there's there's no end to arguments and strife and the way people approach things, right? And they wear it on their shirt sleeve, they put it out there on Facebook, they do all these things. And I thought, man, what an admirable thing that he's going to take his life and he's going to daily commit himself to being a peacemaker. And so I want to encourage you to go, here to Matthew 5 and to look at some of these Beatitudes and just think about, how can I take one or two of these and implement them into my life and commit to them and just really try to get better at them? And doesn't that make the list seem less daunting? Doesn't it actually make it feel like there's not this burden and weight of, oh no, what do I do to be a Christian? I don't know enough Bible. I don't know enough theology. I'm not a pastor. I didn't go to school. No, just pick something here and look at it, because they all kind of hinge on one another, right? There is somebody who can be merciful. So how do you extend mercy to people even when they wronged you? And how do you encourage other people, right? How many of us do this? We go to the bar and hang out with somebody. We go out to eat with somebody. We talk to a coworker. We sit down at the water cooler at work, and they're just like, oh yeah, so-and-so, man. Yeah, they just said this to me, and they were like this in the meeting, and they had all this to say to me, and everything. And then here you are listening to that, but now you've kind of committed yourself to, being, hey, understanding. Remember, blessed, the word blessed is that God empowers you. So think empowered. empowered are you to be merciful, right? And so God is going to empower you. He's going to give you what you need in that sense, and He's going to bless you with the ability to be merciful. So, in those situations, how great is it for you to encourage somebody to forgive and to have mercy and to put themselves in the shoes of that person? And maybe the person acted that way because of something in their story. Maybe it was because of something that happened even just today. Maybe it's about something that you had no idea about, but they're really going through a hard and tough time, and they're taking it out at work and stuff like that. But there's a chance for you to bring mercy to that situation and to extend mercy and grace when you're wronged. And so I hope that encourages you. Don't get daunted, right? And remember what Jesus said, right? When Jesus was talking to a bunch of Jewish people, and he's talking about the Old Testament. Now think about that. That's Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, all the way through, right? And you get to the end, right, of the minor prophets at the end. So that huge amount of books and all that data and all that law and all those covenants and all those things in there. And Jesus says, hey, all of that, every single word of that was given to you can be summed up in two things. Love me with everything that you have, and love others like you love yourself. So put others before yourself, and love me and put me before you, and you're golden. And then you'll get all the things that are in all of those books accomplished if you just do those two things. So Jesus doesn't want to encumber you with 50,000 bazillion laws and codes and everything. He wants to simplify it down to two very basic truths. And so if you don't go to the Beatitudes, go to that portion of Scripture where Jesus is saying the two greatest commandments, and in them are all of the law fulfilled. Love God with everything you have, love your neighbor as yourself. So simplify things down as we go into the new year, and look at the Beatitudes, or look at the two greatest commandments, or find another place, and just try to be committed in prayer, in action, in thought, in deed, to live that out in your daily life. Okay? Have a good day.